Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Felix here from the Shopify Masters Podcast and Podcasting Secrets. And today I'm going to talk to you about a very important question I asked two very successful multimillionaires just yesterday and the day before. I've invested in this course, this coaching program, basically that teaches people to take their information, their knowledge, and then turn it into a course, basically selling their expertise online. And it's a big investment. It's a multi-$1,000 program, but I've invested in these kind of things before in the past. But to a lot of people, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money, and it is to me too. And I got to one of the reasons why I'm doing is because I want to make sure that I'm staying committed and actually following through with advice. Right, the more skin you have in the game, the more money you put down, the more you invest in yourself, the more you feel compelled to actually follow through with the teachings. And I was I was worried that I wouldn't follow through. So what I did was I approached two entrepreneurs that have sold similar programs. The one that I'm actually in, I asked him this question, and also asked one of his main competitors the exact same question, which is, what is the number one attribute that you have found in your most successful students that you've coached through your programs? And the first guy, not my current coach, but the first guy said that it's a very simple answer, but it is the most common attribute amongst his successful students, and that is taking action. People that are taking action. He didn't say anything about people that are have some kind of certain skill set. He didn't say about anyone that has some certain kind of knowledge. That was not important. That was not the important thing. And the second guy that I spoke to, who is actually my coach, I asked him, like, what is the most important attribute amongst the most successful people in your program, your most successful students? And he said that the most important attribute is someone that can follow instruction. So when I heard this, I knew that this was the answer kind of internally, but when hearing from them, hearing from someone that has their perspective, that has seen so many people come through the program, has seen so many successes, has seen so many people that fail, like hearing from their perspective is definitely eye-opening to me. So this is a situation that I found myself in, where I think whenever I start anything new or I have a pursuit, what happens is that when we're working towards a goal, I feel like I need to create all of the path inside my own head. That I should be creative, that I should be the one making the decision, I should be the one that decides how this thing gets done. Otherwise, I am like a fraud, or I'm not worthy of calling myself an entrepreneur because I follow someone else's instructions. That's the way that I'm inclined to think. That's the way that I default to thinking. And this happens too in as a software engineer, where we would work on a project, where we pick up a new project to work on, and there's rankings, right? There's tiers in skill sets that exist. There's kind of hierarchy in the engineering culture too, where most of the time you have this top level guy who's a staff engineer. He's like the most senior person on the team. He knows the most. He has the most experience. He is like the go-to technical person. Then you have your tech lead. Then you have your senior software engineer. Then you have your regular software engineer. Then you might have your junior software engineer. So I'm a senior software engineer, and I will pick up a project, and I will start working on it, come up with my own ideas on how to implement this feature, and start working on it. Spend a couple of days on it, and then I usually would get the advice at that point from the staff engineer, the top guy, right? And he would 9 out of 10 times demolish it. He would tell me the approach I've taken is wrong. I need to go about it this way, and basically I had to start from scratch. And he wouldn't say it like that. Of course, he was super nice about it, but he would basically tell me I had to start from scratch. So I was talking to another software engineer that's also lower, I guess, in the hierarchy, about how can we do this better, right? How can we do this better instead of spending a couple of days, maybe in a week working on something, and all of a sudden having to start over. And I'll say to him, like, maybe we should just talk to the staff engineer, the top guy, and ask him, like, how should we do this? How should we implement this, and get his advice, and get the kind of roadmap, the plan, the blueprint from him from the beginning, and then just execute on that. And he and I were saying, like, this is kind of, I feel kind of weird about it, because I feel like it's my job to come up with the path myself and then implement it myself, and really shouldn't rely on someone else. Otherwise, what am I worth, right? What is my worth if I'm not the one coming up with the solutions myself? And I think this is the wrong way of thinking about it. Now looking back on it, I realize, like, this desire to be creative, this desire to come up with a solution from within yourself, rather than seeing what already works, rather than getting the advice, rather than getting the help from someone that's more experienced and is more successful, is doing it that way, by getting their advice, is the right path. because this creativity that comes along with it, that only comes into play in small areas. What I want to do now moving forward, what I realize is like maybe I should just follow the instructions laid out exactly, and only where there is room for error, where there is rather not room for error, but you know how like when you're driving on the road, they have like room on the side of the road in case you drift off, rather than just like a wall right at the end, right at the side of the lanes, where if you even drift off a little bit, you crash. Like that's not the way it's designed, because we did design roads so that there's a margin of error, right? So only in the places where I know there's margin of error, where I'm allowed to mess up or change things a little bit, is where I will play in the realm of creativity. Is where I will be creative and decide how to do things myself. But when it comes to everything else that I'm not sure if there's room for, not if I'm not 100% sure that there is room for creativity, I'm going to just follow the instructions exactly as it is from someone that is successful already. And a similar kind of lesson that I think applies in like learning anything that's more traditional. Like you're trying to learn how to play the piano, you're not going to sit down and then just try to think in your head, how do I play, amazing piece, or how do I make a song? To learn, you spend the time first doing this, playing the songs that have already existed for hundreds, decades, hundreds of years. You play the songs that have already existed, and you learn those. You learn the ways that have worked already first, and then once you have that skill set, then you can be creative, and then you can do your own way. But it's important, I think, early on to just follow the path. So that's my plan, is just to follow the path, and really try not to be creative. Don't try to be creative, not at first. Don't be creative. Instead, put on a detective hat. Instead of putting in an artist hat, put on a detective hat, and then just execute the steps. And then only in the places I know I won't hurt myself by being creative, or maybe I'll err on the side of not trying to be creative at all, and then wait till I walk through the process once, and then later I can go back in and apply my little creativity afterwards. So if you're launching your podcast, it's the same thing. Don't try to figure it out yourself. Follow a path that already exists. Follow a path that has already been proven to work. Set it up, launch the podcast, launch it all, and then go back and add in flavors of your own creativity. Change up the way that you approach guests to get them on a show, change the kind of questions you might ask, change up the way that you structure your podcast, but stick to what's already worked to begin with, that's been proven to work, and just follow that path all the way. So if you're looking for that path towards a path that's already been proven, check out Podcasting Secrets over at podcastingsecrets.co. Don't use your creativity at first when you're not sure how to do things. That comes later. So hopefully it helps you out on any pursuit that you have. Follow someone that's already done it successfully already. Follow without asking any questions. Take that action and then follow their instruction. 100%. Don't get creative. Creativity comes later once you've actually walked the path once. All right, so hope it helps you out, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.